Um, Former pharmacist, computer programmer, web developer, now mystic. That's about it. Searching for answers.
Exactly. I think that works. Well, this is really the focus of what I'm trying to put out in the world around leading stronger, longer is that we have to start leading ourselves first in our thoughts, in our actions, in our emotions. And so much of what our world today is, we're being led by not so great things, and that could look like what Mark Passio calls it in essentially slavery, because that's ultimately what it is, right? Someone else is leading you, and I am not okay with that, and I don't want to. I will spend my life now that I know fully this whole thing, and not so
How fully
stuck.
do you know though? I
What's
mean,
that?
have you read some of the other research I've done? Like how much have you heard of like Mandela effect? Those kind of wacky things?
Yes, exactly. And so that is what I'm excited to talk to you about. So we'll leave the things that Mark Passio talks about over in Mark Passio, but let's dive further into some of the things that you have shared on your Substack, and I'll make sure that those are all in the your channels are in our notes, and folks can get a hold of those because it's pretty intense and in depth. The one that I saw with regards to the doppelgangers and the multiple, in fact, they've done movies on this, right? There were a couple movies where you go through different doors and you have a whole other life, and you go through this door and there's a different life going on. I would like to start with that because, our lives are so close to the movies and yet not. And what you
Right.
shared in that video and your Substack was so close. It was like, well, this is a movie. This can't be
Is
real.
that the one on quantum immortality? Is that the one you're talking
Yep.
about?
Yep, exactly. Quantum
That was
immortality.
based on a book by Angeliki Agnostou, the different levels of energetic spirit and then energy levels. It's a pretty complicated, long 800-page book. Howdy, McCoskey, have you talked to this or know about this guy?
Not at all.
He's researcher as well and had some strange experiences and studied all this. So he recommended the book, and I leap off a lot of what hit these people who've already gone this journey for 25, 30 years.
Mm,
When it rings true for me, like I resonate with it, and I've had some strange experiences, but not to the degree of these guys. The things I think of, they're theoretical, but if it rings true with people, then that's something they need to go research themselves to try to go with what they figure out, because there's so much lies and deception. Even the Matrix
yeah.
idea is like more literal than people realize. So it's
It's
wacky.
more literal, you say? It's more
Yeah,
literal?
I
Yeah.
think so. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
the
I think
Matrix.
a lot know that. I mean, it's 25 years now that movie came out, and it definitely hit hard. But one of the things, and you probably have understanding of this, I thought that the Wachowski brothers were raised that like family members were CIA, and they had information that was kind of put forth. And now even the things that are coming out in 2025 were this hidden information, like all of this information completely hidden from the general populace, from the stuff with Hitler to the pyramids to, I mean, just everything that we think we know. And there's
Right,
that quote from William, the CIA guy, says, when the American people think exactly opposite of what the truth is, we know we've done our job, right?
right. When everything
So
they believe is a lie, because they
exactly.
pounded them with so many lies and deceptions for so many decades, they're so confused they don't know what's the truth anymore. So whenever they believe everything they believe is a lie, then we can push for their final AI agenda. They're rolling out so fast, and people are so confused. They accept transhumanism because they accept transgenderism. It's just so easy to, oh, well, we can be beyond human, we can be beyond gender, we can be beyond. Let's just put this metaverse helmet on us and away we go. Like nobody has any critical thinking skills anymore.
Yeah. And this runaway freight train is being run and conducted by psychopaths. Yeah.
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 And they're not, this is like the David Icke's reptilian politicians. They're just the puppets to some non-human entities called archons going back thousands of years, call them demons, whatever you want. My
Yeah.
research and experience would lead me to believe there's some truth there. And until people can like accept that, we're still heading down a, a bad path.
I keep coming back to this question. Why? Some say it's profit and power and control. And then there's some that say depopulation. And then there's, right? So why?
Well, that's the $1 million question. If you go deep enough, think, contemplate long enough, wake up enough that you start asking those kind of questions. What the hell? There's some sort of God,
Right.
obviously. I never used to think so. I bought too much into the whole evolution stuff. There's some truth to evolution. I'd say evolution of consciousness, not so like Big Bang and just randomness. I don't believe that anymore. But I watched a lot of Star Trek when I was a kid. And that's the idea they promoted, and I'm like, I get a lot of messages off of Star Trek now. A lot of my posts deal with Star Trek and the messages from a kid now that I've contemplated more what I
Mm.
see it in a deeper sense.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's $1 million question. Archaics, hey, you know this guy, Jason Basir's archaics.com? I got
No,
a
I
special
don't.
section.
So I
I've got a
clearly am going to
section
get a
for
massive resource.
I got a section for him on my Right Pharma Substack.
Okay.
Um, he does lots of, he was in prison for 26 years, had nothing to do but deep research into our true history from actual written books, not stuff you find on the internet, so much disinformation there,
Hmm.
and nothing else to do, no responsibilities. He pursued his fascination with what our true history and has tried to
Mm.
put together a whole thesis. He's he became a chronologist, and I find a lot of his stuff resonates with me. And I've got a special section for him. People should check out. I recommend. And
So the truth is,
he's got a
most,
spiritual. Yeah.
yeah, we don't
Basically,
have,
we're in a sim. Go ahead.
we're in a sim, but,
We're in a sim.
and so this is ultimately the time that I have you right now is my concern is this. I'm living life day to day. I don't have time to go and read and study
Right.
at the depth and the level that would literally take probably 100 years to unravel all of this. How can we fast track this? How can we get the information out that needs to be gotten out in a fast tracked way? And is that not going to happen? Because, like you're saying, well, if this resonates, then go search that path. And if it's true for you, go search that path. It was like, well, no, we need to get on the same page. Like Mark says, the dark occults are all focused on one thing, and they're moving
Right.
in that direction. Well, we if we're gonna shift this and be the light or whatever. And I don't even know now with green language if I'm saying that right, because I used to say be the light, peace and blessings, and of a light being and lady of light. That was all my uh, moniker for decades. And now I'm
Yeah.
thinking, okay, everything I knew is turned upside down. How
Yeah.
how do we start? Where do we start? How can we do this in real time in our lifetime? How
Yeah.
can we still lead a life that's fulfilling for ourselves without losing our sanity?
Yeah.
How? Right? So now the next
Yeah.
question is how? We'll put
Yeah.
why on the back
That's
burner for a bit, but I still want that answer. And now we'll look at how for each of us.
how. That's a $1 million question humanity's been struggling with for thousands of years. So there's so much information out there. Yeah, it's so overwhelming. I'm retired now and I just sort of like research stuff and I do stuff on my website. So I've got the time. I get it. But I was pretty asleep. COVID, even into COVID, I took a couple of jabs. And I'm a pharmacist, and the mind control program is deep. A lot of doctors took jabs too and died. Can we say that? Is this going to go on YouTube? Are they going to censor us? But yeah, no, people got to research this stuff, right? And figure it out what's
Yeah.
going on. And it's overwhelming. Yeah, it'll shock you. It takes time to work through, and it's easier just to forget about it and just want to go on with life. But
For me, it's definitely not easier to forget about it. I'm way past
yeah,
that point, right? It's too painful to try to forget about it and numb out because
yeah,
it's so
yeah,
loud now.
exactly.
And I
And
think that there's more and
that's
more, right? Yeah. So now what? Now what? Because this is I get how Passio in his, and this is 2008, because I'm just now getting to his like number 70, and that was a decade ago, if not more.
yeah,
And where he's starting to get livid with people not doing this, like, whoa, okay, I get it, because I didn't get it before. And I don't want to say complacent, I thought I was doing good. And now this is like, holy smoke, we are going down for the count in a big way. And the only thing that's maybe will transform this is like something so far bigger than us that's benevolent and that's just going to
right.
go, we're recycling planet Earth. Boom. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
that's where James Shears, the simulation theory, he traces true history, what he believes is true history through thousands of years, and there are resets every 138 years. The last one was in 1902, according to his research. He's got lots of data to back it up. Next one's coming in 2040. The elite controllers of the world, along with the non-human entities manipulating them. They know this. Everything's just like it can't be stopped, apparently. I like to think it can, but I don't know. And that's the whole worldwide cataclysm reset happens, and then we're basically back to Adam and Eve simulation starting at year one. But there's still a number of years past that. 2046 is another Nemesis X cataclysm, which is going to be bigger than 2040. He believes the East China is going to get hit hard with this thing he calls the Phoenix, which initiates the resets in the cataclysm worldwide. I know it's scary stuff, right? But
No,
first time
it's
you
not
hear
scary.
this, you'll think,
Here's the thing, and this is important that I want people to understand. This is not scary. It's just information. It's just somebody saying stuff. You're just saying stuff. You're repeating something that someone else said, and then I'm interviewing you. This isn't scary. It's information. Yeah. We need to stop thinking it's scary. We need to look at the information and go critically thinking, you said it, this is the trivium that Will Keller has been trying to teach us, and say, you get information. It's just information. It's just data. You don't know whether it's real or not. To make it scary has gone past the point. That's right. The missing piece of being critically thinking here. As a pilot practicing, I can't take some experience of a drop in air pressure or a drop in altitude and think that's scary. I have to stay sane and do my work, use the tools that I've been trained to do, or people die. That's where I feel I'm at right now. I am right now in the place and trying to teach and share with others that that's where we have to come from. We have to step back into the pilot seat of our own and get the critical thinking hat on, bring people information like this. This is useful information. I want to know. I mean, you're a very intelligent human being and you have more information than I have. So let's talk. But it's not about it being scary. So let's not go there. It's not. I mean,
information is not good or bad, right or wrong.
Let's not let that stop us.
I hear you.
Okay. Yeah. Good.
That shuts people off. Yeah, they're like, no, I don't want to hear this.
We're past that. Get over it. It's time. Let's get all the information out so we can look at what's really there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So back to your how then, like just the last few years as I've been researching, building my websites, all I do is I go, I'm synchronistically led to these people like, Archaics and Mark Passio. And when that, you got to learn how to tap into your intuition. A lot of us don't know how to tap into that right side, that feminine intuitive care aspect Mark Passio talks about. Tap into that. That's the only thing that's going to lead you to
So
the right
how
version,
did you tap into
right
it?
resource.
I know how I did. How did you tap into it?
Just building my websites, and I started researching and intuiting things, and then I would go and find things that sort of support scientists and books and videos of people saying the things.
So you're a doer. You need to do things and be building things in order to tap into it. That's insightful, sure, and I think that's important for some to know. I'm not. I'm an introvert. I need to go and be alone, and so you need to, listeners,
do that too.
Find
I do a lot of that
yes.
too.
But each of us has to find that. That's where you do need to go and find out for yourself how to get back in alignment with yourself so that you know and can differentiate between truth and what's not truth. And because you want to take in both sides, not take it in as truth, take it in so that you can observe it. It's just taking in data so that you can then take an action and observe and make a choice and go, okay, that's rejection. I accept that. Let's go forward and move on this path. These are the intricate things that we have to slow down a little bit and understand that this is a process. It's not, let's plug into the fire hose and take whatever David Icke or anybody says, including Passio. Thank goodness Passio is like giving everything in a smorgasbord and saying, look, follow the path you need to. I'm just giving you, this is what I know, and sharing the knowledge. And so that's where I'm at as well. I'm sharing my knowledge as I interpret it and understand it. Now, how are you going to look at this, and let's have discussions like this. This is what I want. This is what I want.
I think Passio was tapping into where we came from, prime Earth, where there was no government, and that's ideally where we want to go. And he's frustrated, like that's because there's so many psyops, so many lies. You can't trust the government. You can't trust their experts. So, and I haven't got the expertise or time to do it, right? So, that's why he says there's only one true divide. Government is slavery or freedom, right? And how to implement that in this world, especially where we're at least makes you think and stop wasting time, trying to do some political stuff. I'm not going to waste my time with that. Like
Right.
he's right. Got to get rid
Yeah.
of government. How the heck do you do that? It changes with your own consciousness. And I like to think one person who raises their vibration, gets awake, can compensate for so many people who want and choose to stay awake. I mean, when the
Yeah.
1776 rebellion, 3% of Americans fought the British and won. If 3% of the world could wake up.
That's
Pasto
right.
says you got to get 51% of the world. But in a sim, and a lot of them are literal NPCs. Sorry if that sounds, David Icke, but you need 51% maybe of those who are truly RPCs, you might call real player characters. How do you find those? You know, Technology is a tool, but it's through consciousness you're going to connect with. And that's some of my intuition when I'm connecting to intuition. There's some of that coming through from those in this reality who are communicating to me on a subconscious, sort of intuitive level. You got to just apply that. You just got to. How I do is I leverage these people who've been doing this for decades, like Howdy McCoskey. I like his stuff. Mark Passio, of course. I've got a Substack for him. John Lash, I like his stuff on the Sophia Gnostic mythos. I've got a section for him on my site, right? And so I sort of intuit from their deep research and insights, and I don't take everything they say at face value. But it trains you to sort of tap into that voice, that mystical, intuitive voice of Sophia, as John Lash would say.
So either I'll need you to spell all of those in a written document after this so that I can place this out because I'm trying to take the notes. I think that's what we'll do rather than spelling it out right now. And actually, I take that back. No, because there's going to be listeners who want slow down. What did you just say? Okay, you just said Howdy.
Howdy McCoskey, he's an author.
Okay.
He's done a lot of deep research for 30 plus years, had a lot of strange experiences to confirm reality is a simulation.
Okay. And then you said the second one after that.
Archaics, Jason Bashir's from Archaics.
John Jason.
Oh, Jason Bashir's, archaics.com. I've learned a lot from him. My Substack has sections for these guys. So if people just go to my
Okay.
Substack, you'll see.
Okay. So then tell us your Substack right now. Is that Red Pill?
Right Pharma, parablepublishing.com.
Say it again.
Here, I'll put a link. Can you see
Perfect.
that link?
Oh, that's a big
That's the
one.
recent link I did.
Okay. So, folks, it's right as in writer, WRITE.
ITE instead of I'm right, RIGHT, like writer,
Pharma
W.
Para Publishing. Okay. This isn't going to
Because I
go
used to
up
be a
live.
pharmacist.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'll make sure that it's in the show notes. So it better be in the show notes. So if it's not, we'll find out. We'll make sure because I don't want to go past this when someone's, I want to give the tools and the information to people as they're searching. There's nothing more frustrating than getting an idea and then not knowing how to take action on it. So I'll make sure this is in. I've got the link here. Awesome. Let's move forward. I want to specifically talk about this quantum realities. And have you experienced this yourself? What is it? And if that's the case, is there in another reality piece right now? Is there in another reality an absolute where there's all this zombie apocalypse? Is there, you know what I'm saying? All these different doppelgangers that you talked about in the video.
Right. Yeah, Howdy McCoskey tells of his personal experiences of seeing himself die in other realities, right? And it resonates as a possibility, and he's speaking the truth. He's had a lot of those kind of strange experiences. And as an idea and a concept, there's many things I can accept as an idea and concept without having experienced it personally myself. But if it has that sort of like that truth vibration, you hear it, right? The resonating truth vibration. And I think that's possible. And something like that's going on. So I've had like really like strong deja vu experiences. Like I've gotten to this point and maybe died. I've had strange experiences where I hit a lamppost and totaled my sports car, and I walked out with no problems at all. I had my seatbelt on, but the airbag deployed and saved my life. And people drove up and said, "How did you just get out of that? How could you survive that?" It's like that could have been like I maybe airbags didn't exist in that reality, and I did die. But then you're reset, and there's some plausible explanation how you survived, and I just walk out no problem, continue on. It's like things like that are going on in a quantum immortal reality that it's just an idea, it's a concept, but if you can imagine it, it's possible, I think.
So how can we actually use it today, right now?
Be aware, strange things going on like this. Yeah. I've had a
And
few
then what?
synchronous. Uh, actually, as a human, you can say this, and people, I think you really gotta experience it yourself. The higher forces, whatever you call them, are gonna have to rattle you supernaturally, so to speak, awaken and go search for it. Or otherwise people are just like, he's just making crap up, right? I mean, have you had these experiences? You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, no question, right?
Yeah.
There's no question. But how do I, it's like when I bend a spoon. If I can't teach someone how to do that, then I can't do it. If I can't repeat it on command, when
Yeah, I
I
feel that
choose
way.
to, then I don't know. I don't know and I don't understand. And I want to know and I want to understand. That's what I am after. I want answers, right?
Me too. So
Yeah.
like they say, go within or go without. So I go within, meditate on things, go with where I think the synchronous, this truth vibrations are leading me, and things come my way on YouTube, just on your feed. People probably experience that. Well, that's exactly what I was thinking. I need to hear that, and it
Okay.
leads you
Okay.
down a new
So
rabbit
they
hole.
come up on your feed. And we know this. There's a whole control construct with the
Sure.
algorithms. Not only that, we know now that everything that even our phones, and I don't think you even have to have a smartphone anymore, that they're picking up everything. And so now that's just this machine. But for the purpose of just selling us more stuff, just filling up our gullets to keep us to keep that stuff plugged in, is this literally like oh man, are we somewhere is our physical body somewhere? No, I know working too much with the physical body that there aren't physical babies, that this is all a mind construct, right? That there's more to it, that there is a denser reality that we're living in, at least on this plane.
Yeah, this one's pretty dense, I think, from what I've researched and experienced in life. And then that's that one. Angelica Agnostu posits etheric level after that, right? And then the lower astral, higher astral. You've probably heard these terms: lower mental realm, second paradise realm, and then higher mental. All these different levels and layers at which spirit and emotion and duality, and your consciousness can be kind of in all of them at the same time. Um, and,
And I would call that
again, you
being
have,
fragmented, right? Being fragmented and not fully whole if you're living in all of this. And then we can take it, and what's your take on this? That we're all one. And if we're all one and everything is all one,
right.
then we're just fragments of all of this. And this is all the experience of one. And so then what do you do with that, right? Once you
But if
know
there is,
that, you're like, well, what's the point? Because if we're all one and this is what the one is, this is BS, right? This is like nonsense. Because if we're all one,
well,
we ain't all one.
sure. I mean, you have to, like the Gnostics, talk about that divine spark within the presence of Sophia and waking up that emotional feminine care aspect. It's all like a mythos metaphor. Pacho talks about that too. He talks about unity consciousnesses. Get in touch with your higher self. As you think, so you feel, so you do, and there's no disharmony. You're in unity consciousness. So you got to tap into that I am presence, this Holy Spirit, Sophia within, the divine feminine presence, however you want to label intuition, right? And so get in touch with, and you're in unity with that. Your ego and your body is kind of not, people think that's them. That's the distraction. That's not you. You're the I am presence inside you. As you tap into that, follow that. It's easy to say, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah, but see, I take offense with that from the work that I do as someone who is a holistic health practitioner, and I work on the physical body, the emotional body, the mental body, the astral body, the energetic body, all of those getting in harmony. And then when someone says, you are not, and I even say this, you're not your body, you have a body. You're not your emotions, you have emotions. But here's the thing, you're also responsible for them. So take care of them. Take care of your body. Take care of your emotions. Take care of your thoughts. This is what's really important to me to say. And labeling it the ego, I like what Rudolf Steiner says about the ego. That's your individual, unique expression. And then there's lots of people who go off and say, oh, the ego's the bad. Like, there, and ultimately, is there bad or good, or there's just varying degrees, like there's not hot or cold, there's just a varying degree of what we call a temperature, right? So, oh my goodness, there's so much, and I want to know it all, and I want to understand
Right.
it.
Infinite variety, infinite uniqueness. Yeah. I mean, I posit, this is why my way of thinking, there's a higher spirit realm, pure consciousness, no emotion, but we're here to learn how to handle emotions. So there is a realm which you drop into positive emotion, a little further, positive, negative starts to form. That's from Angelica Agnostic book. I put a couple of charts there, and that's kind of how I read it. And then we get more dense, more negativity. Now it's like beyond etheric, we're into the physical plane where it's pretty much total negative. So, like your ego isn't, yeah, we're learning individuation and individuality to learn how to handle emotions so we can put on, not just be sort of like absorbed into the mind of God and not really sentient awareness, but discern your true creator and here, and you're learning that when it's you're in a realm of total positivity, which I think there are realms and levels at that. People talk about the void, being in the void. It's all bliss and positive emotions. That's not here, but you get some experience so you can put on a body of a type and live in that realm. That'd be ideal, right? Or drop a little lower to the lower mental realm where there's some negativity, but it can be handled and you can be brought back up to base level. I mean, we're here to learn those lessons, I think, and how to handle that. So it's not, that's where it gets to the why, what you were asked earlier.
Yeah.
Why?
And then you get into this thing where, I did a lot of Abraham Hicks for years that, it's like, you're not here to learn lesson. You're here to, I mean, that's false. You're not here to learn lessons. And then there's the whole gamut. I literally have probably 3,000 books I'm going through right now of things I've studied over the last 40 years and just letting them go, realizing that there is so much that I have misunderstood, and I haven't even scratched the surface on truly understanding. And it's time for me to let go of these false ideas. But I am, as I'm letting go of those false ideas and I'm falling down what I feel like this massive crevasse, I'm grasping for whatever I can grasp. And I think that that's an experience that a lot of us are going through in multiple areas, not just in this, but in relationships and everything, and how they're relating to the world and to money and business and the commerce and the everything. It's just definitely collapsing. And what I am trying to think is, do I want to put some construct out there to make it safe so that I feel like I'm in some sense of control, or do I just completely let go? And there's a part of me intuiting that it's time to just let go completely. Yet there's a piece, because I'm a mom, and it's so important to me that my sons are whole and happy, and that construct of them being whole and happy and living their life and contributing wonderful is based on that old construct. So then it's like, oh man, what do I do? Right? It's really interesting. It's definitely feeling like you're in a vice, and I use that analogy pretty succinctly because I had a long time in Scientology, and that whole science fiction, just like with any religion, there are pieces of truth.
Yep.
And so trying to navigate through all of that and really look at the same plant. So in Scientology, it would be called an implant, right? This whole thing of population and population control is a repeating implant over and over and over again. And folks are dramatizing that play of that implant, which is some kind of construct, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
and that's
Like Westworld. Westworld? That program talks a bit about
yes,
that.
that's exactly right.
Just used and killed, tortured, raped, and you get a mind wipe and you're back in it again. So this is where these ideas of the soul trap
Yeah.
is kind of scary. Right. I don't really particularly want to do this again.
Yes, and I remember even hearing my dad say, I don't want to play this game again. I don't want to go through this this. So it's so interesting, and yet I don't know that it's just a game. I don't think we're just here to learn a lesson or just to be in a game, but I don't think it's the other thing of just being Abraham Hicks, go into the vortex and beat the drum of happiness and good thoughts and high vibration, high vibration, high vibration. Yes, and then yes, and with all of it. I don't know. I am definitely wanting to figure this out. And I wish there were answers. I wish I could look at these books and all of them that say the only answer you ever need, instantaneous healing,
Right.
this. And it's like you get through the end of the book and you're like, where's the answer? Is this booby trapped too? This is all
Right.
freaking booby trapped. Okay.
There's partial answers, there's theories, I think, and there's the answer you need at the time. And as I've progressed and years later, it's like, oh, I was wrong there, but that's the answer I believed and needed at the time, and you just keep going, right? We're
I
here.
think that's a justification. That was the answer I needed at the time.
It
I
was.
think we use that as a justification. At least I have. At least I've seen that repeatedly over the last 40 some years. I'm using that as a justification. Well, that's just the lesson you needed to learn at that time.
Right.
BS. We don't have time. Time has run out. We need the answers. So let's have them. Whoever, if you're controlling this, let's go. Let's get the freaking answers right freaking now. That's what I want. Do you know what I mean? And none.
Right.
I don't want to go through someone's Substack or read another book or watch another video or have another Bashard send me down another channeling nonsense. I can't look at that anymore. It's despicable.
Right.
Ah. And when I was looking at your email, you're like Freemason. I know a lot of Freemasonry and I know Rudolf Steiner, and I like Rudolf Steiner because I have so much affinity for him and his work with Waldorf and what he put forth. That was very valuable for me as a mother raising my boys. But it's like Freemasonry. What I got from listening to Mark Passio is apparently wrong. I thought Freemason was a good thing. The original source is that you were free to create. A Mason was someone who was a builder, and you were free to build your existence in your life and your reality. And the block, the triangle block where they put the blocks in front, is that they're trying to blind you, and all of this is symbology. What? Do you know anything about that?
No, I haven't studied that deeply. It's kind of the first time I'm hearing it.
Oh, okay. So tell me am I totally off on the Freemasonry stuff? The true
Well,
Freemasonry stuff, not the superficial things that they put out for drama and for the front. As Passio says, this first time I heard exoteric and esoteric. The exoteric, the external things that they put out for
yeah,
Freemasonry and the 33 degrees and this versus the esoteric, which is then the internal, like the stuff that's behind the curtain of what's
right,
really going on, right?
right.
What do you
That's why
know
I'm
there?
skeptical and suspicious of everything. Yeah, I haven't studied or, I want to go through Pascal's videos and put them into text on Substack. That slows me down and I helps me to study it more. And then I'll probably go down various paths there. But I know whatever they put out is propaganda. I don't there's an exoteric to the Bible and an esoteric or any holy text or Freemason. What they're telling you is probably not true. Look at what they tell you on mainstream media. It's all propaganda. Whatever they're telling you, the truth is the opposite. So I'd be very skeptical and go research it, and after time come to a conclusion. That's how I handle these things now. I go where I'm intuitively led, and then you gotta be skeptical and research it, and it helps build your intuition as you sort through the BS and come to the real truth, right?
Yeah, so it sounds to me like, I mean, there's not a lot of us who can actually retire and just go do this. So I would say for myself, I know I set aside study time and processing time and application time, but it's few and far between. Like I haven't sat down and done a Mark Passio for a few weeks. What is your like? What would you say for someone who wants to like? Can you give us a head start?
Hmm. Well, I'll go to my site and just sort of read and go with what intuitively hits with you, and then you're synchronistically, I find the universe, the ontology, as Cliff High would say, wants you to succeed, wants to help you. They'll help your intuition and bring you new sources, what you need when you need it.
So the video that I saw of yours, pretty long, and it repeated over and over and over again. Is that correct?
Which
I
one?
mean, the
Which one
message
is
of
that?
doppelgängers, where it's you die and then you lose that life goes on and then this life, right, where it's just a doppelgangers or you're going through different doors and repeating the same message over and over again. It's like, well,
Well,
what's the
yeah.
point?
Well,
I
that
I
was the
wanted.
quantum immortality video that just sort of highlights some of the ideas and concepts that you can't die. You think you can. You're immortal. You can't die.
Oh,
You
was
can
that
be
the point?
reset. Yeah, that was like
Interesting.
an intro video. a little
That was a
lighthearted. I
very
don't.
long intro video, Dennis. So this is what's really important to me. I don't want to sit through a 500 or 800 or 700 or even a 100-page book when it can just say in 3 words, you don't die. You
Right,
can never die. You are immortal. Wake up, right?
right,
You're playing, or that's what I'm looking for right now. And so as I was going through, really trying to study this so that I could be proficient in having a conversation with you, and then I got like, what's the point? I don't understand what I just. It was repeating the same. What's the point? How am I supposed to decipher this? I don't need or want more allegories. I want the freaking answer. And I'm not being childish of like, just give me, I want to give me the answer because I have freaking done the work, right? I've
right.
got the t-shirts. I've been there, done that, got the pins, the hats, all of it. And I think too many of us have done the same thing. And there's probably a lot of nodding heads going, yep, been there, done that, totally get it. Let's just freaking get the answer now, please. And if you
Right.
have it, share it.
I've got some. I got what I think is true, but yeah, it's
So then tell me,
yeah.
tell me,
Well, there you go. You're immortal. You can't die. You can be reset into this life and not even know it. You could die and come back,
okay, so
or
you
you
could be
can literally die
reset
and go
into
into the
this
astral
life.
realm.
Why
Go
are
ahead.
you reset into this life? Who is controlling that?
I would say higher beings outside the construct
Who are
of our
those
matrix.
higher beings? Where did they come from? Why? You see?
Ultimately controlled by the true God, but there's the little God, the God of this world, the devil, archons,
What true
demons,
God?
angels.
Really? There's some true God? Is it like a man? Is it like that the Bible has a little bit of truth? So there's some guy in a
A little
white
bit.
robe with some, you know?
Yeah, we picture it that way. We, as humans, we can't help but anthropomorphize and personalize and personify God as some human in the sky with supernatural powers. And typically, we think God is ourselves in the sky with supernatural powers, right? If I'm a Republican, God's a Republican. You know, it's like it's the part of human nature. We can't help it, right? So try to realize that's a common human failing and look beyond that. Look a little deeper.
Okay. Okay, that's important. Thank you. What else?
I do
What
take
else?
some of the allegory of the Bible. I take some of it. I've studied it, and that's you'll find a lot of some quotes from the Bible. Here's one, Matthew 25:41. Depart from me, you cursed, into everlasting fire, prepared for the devil and his angels. You've probably heard that one, right?
Whether I've heard it or not, I don't understand it.
Okay. Well, I look at that. Depart from me, ye cursed, into everlasting fire, prepared for the devil and his angels. So, and Jesus is describing some humans going to hell, which was prepared for the devil and his angels. So logically, whoever ends up in hell fits the definition of the devil and his angels. That's how I look at the
Which is
allegory and the
all
metaphor.
personified then in some kind of story then,
Sure.
right?
But there is some literality to beings out here that you could call demons, archons,
Mm.
manipulate your mind, giving you an hellish experience, right? Suffering that we all suffer here to various degrees.
Okay, so let's go a little bit to the Rudolf Steiner since you said you have a lot of information and have studied
I don't know
Rudolf.
much about Steiner, sorry.
Oh, I thought you did. I thought you,
No,
you studied so many different things on that.
not really. Mainly
Hmm.
archaics and John
The
Lamb
archaics.
Lash, Sophia, Mark
Okay.
Passio.
Okay. So then on that, this was it the dark journalist that you brought up? Maybe I was
Dark.
having multiple conversations with folks.
Well, that scripture, depart from me, you cursed, into everlasting fire, prepare for the devils and angels. So I posit, and this is it, I've heard this from Esoterica, that our ego comes from the left side or our brain, or our ego comes from being incarnations of fallen angels. There's lots of people who believe that, right? So you can derive some explanatory benefit as to the why. We are here to learn lessons, and we all suffer and then we don't like it, but you suffer and you learn from it, and you come back to the holy angel you were, and you go back to that reality, right?
So let's
How's
take
that
it a
for
little
you?
further and let's pull out and pull out and then look at a couple pieces specifically around angels, dark angels. Angels, when I was studying a little bit more on green language after an interview I did with Will Keller, um, angels, angle of light, then it was interpreted into an angel and then a being, and then when it's actually an angle of light potentially. And now we've got this angle of light, and all light is a fractal of this universe. You know what I'm saying? I don't understand it fully, but as soon as that shifted, immediately removed the idea of this angel with angel wings and saw the light, right?
Yeah.
And knowing there's no dark or light, it's all a different level of spectrum. It's all on a different, you're just moving the frequency at a different level, but it's on the
Right.
same, it's the same thing. There's no black or white. It's all just different levels of,
Right. That's kind of disturbing, right?
that
I
isn't
have a
disturb.
sailing.
I want to understand it. It makes me want to think, but I don't have the tools to think with it in my brain. My brain doesn't really know how to think with it.
I like to say duality is reality, polarity is possibility, and out of the box thinking is epiphany. You need to get to some epiphanies, polarizations, those extremes, which get very disturbing. Light and darkness is exactly the same. And even the Bible says that. Could be a Mandela effect. Light and darkness is all the same to God. So, raping, torturing, murdering kids and satanic ritual, that's just fine as feeding the poor. It doesn't make sense. And you kind of shut it down. Go back to duality. That's more of the middle, more in the midpoint, a little more your average sane person can process. No, it doesn't make total sense, right? Yeah.
You've mentioned Mandela effect a few times. Explain that as you know it.
Oh, the Mandela effect is where things are changing. Reality is proven to be, to me anyway. I've investigated the phenomenon. I'm convinced it's reality is changing. It's malleable. Words changing. Movie lines, characters in Disney, magic mirror on the wall instead of mirror mirror on the wall. I mean, there's some common ones we remember. I remember that mirror mirror on the wall. Who's the fairest of them all? Now it says magic mirror. Do you remember that one?
Yeah, it was always Mirror Mirror. It was always the Berenstain Bears. It was always he had to tell the monocle, all of these things. So what's up with that?
Yeah, John Lamb Lash thinks he's deciphered a message from Sophia, the literal goddess Sophia, who is Gaia Sophia, our Earth. I'd say there's some truth to that. There's sentience, like panpsychism says there's truth in, well, there's consciousness in every molecule on this table right now. But the Earth is special. It's Sophia waking up, sending us a message. He's decoded that message, he thinks, and I put his audios on my Substack, the Right Pharma Substack, if people want to check it out. And he goes through the whole Mandela effect thing in trying to decode, divinate what the message is that Sophia is trying to tell us. She kind of woke up around 1776 when they entered into this new world order, and then there's that Tartaria theory, the 1,000-year reign of Christ. We're in Satan's little season, and now the devil's released to finish his end game plan. I mean, there's so many theories, right? Just but he
Well,
thinks he's
well,
got a
those
message.
things like that stuff, I can put some holes in that because even now that I've really started to focus on green language, Israel, for example, is from Isis, Ra, sun, and I mean it's Ra, the sun god. Okay, Isis, Ra, El. Your El is that waking up of this back into the wholeness. So Israel is the word that would have been the, as they say, okay, the chosen one. Then it just got bastardized and completely inverted and completely turned into multiple, just
Yeah,
blah. And all it simply means, just like with Jewish and Jerusalem and Israel, it's been completely inverted, and there were just words like this. What Satan, meaning that part of the brain that you're more solid, dense, not the light, right?
right. Not as intuitive, not as much
Right.
the
Versus the
divine feminine.
Christ consciousness, which is more of that wholeness and light. And so yeah, everybody, you're right. From what you said in the very beginning, wherever you're at in the journey, you have to follow that because for me to try to explain this to someone, even to try to explain this to myself 6 months ago, I would not be able to hear it. So it is going to have to be this internal journey and follow the breadcrumbs and be really intentional when you do.
Yeah.
I think that's super, super important. A couple of other things you said that I wanted to follow up on. You said something about Jason talked about 100 every 138 years And then you said 1902. What happened in 1902? And I couldn't do the math on that quickly. 138 years. Help me out.
Yeah, Jason Bashir has found a repeating pattern in our history from the old books he's read for 26 years in prison. Actual physical books, not doctored up, changed electronic copies. You can't trust anything on the internet these days. So he's had a lot of experience putting together this repeating pattern of 138 years where reality is reset. So that's the whole Mandela effect again. Mandela effect proving that reality is malleable and changeable, and it's changing now to give us, if you're awake and open to see it, some sort of hint at least that reality is not what it appears to be. Yeah, it's changing. Even Bible verses, a few off the top of my head. The Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. That's changed. That's a common one people know. And this is in your physical book that you have at home, and it's been in your attic or your table for decades. Go look it up. It's changed. How's that happen?
It's
If
changed in
reality,
the book.
it's changed in your paper book. It's not like electronic, screwing around with electronic copies on the internet, right?
Wait. Say what it is, Lord.
The Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. That's in Job, I think.
And what do you think it was, before or after?
That's what it used to say. Now it says something, I'd have to look it up, but the Lord gives and the Lord hath taken away. Kind of subtle changes, but it's a
Hmm.
memory issue. I remember that one. It's a common one, right? Or the common one, Isaiah 11:6, I think it is, the lamb shall lie with the, or the lamb will lie with the, well, it says now the wolf shall lie with the lamb. The lion shall lie with the lamb is what he used to say.
See, now this is where things get scary because it pisses me off. I don't like lies. I
Yeah,
don't like people pulling the wool over my eyes at all,
right.
because then we're not on level playing ground. And I mean, clearly we haven't been on a level playing ground for a long time, and I have to stop being naive. And that's my hardest experience, because I truly want to believe in my beautiful lilies, and everything's beautiful and love and light, and let's all get along, and let's have peace, and let's have a world of good. And it's apparently not going to happen without a pretty massive fight, and I'm going to have to get my big girl pants on. And I think that's hard for a lot of us.
Yeah.
But I want to know what I am fighting for and with. And I want to know, I don't want to have the playing field constantly changing to where, oh, that's not true either. Because I know it. I mean, it's just the nature of this beast. It's just the nature of what we're dealing with. Very interesting, Dennis. So much. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't have the time or energy to research all the things you have put forth in your Substack. I'm definitely going to share those notes, and people can avail themselves of that. But I'm looking for the fast track, the master path.
Sure.
And I want, because I'm a warrior, I will fight, but I
Right.
need to know the truth. I won't fight blindly. I won't be an order follower.
Right.
And that's something that I'm trying to really be mindful of, that I'm not just going off on another tangent. So well, I guess I don't know that I have any other questions
To a
now.
certain degree, we have to be an order follower, but the only authority Pastor has acknowledged in his broadcasts is God. The true God is the only authority. So if you're going to be an order follower, and we
Well,
all
you
have to
just
some
described
degree,
how we don't know who the God is. We don't know.
well,
There's
that's what it's
levels of
ultimately all
that. And
about.
is the God benevolent? We don't know. Not it doesn't
Yeah.
look like it. It doesn't. But is that me just
That's
being
why it's easy to confuse God and the devil. Father the devil or your heavenly father. It's a test and a contest. That's part of it. If we did follow fallen angels and we didn't learn that lesson very well, and so we're suffering here to learn that lesson. That's one theory. A lot of people in ancient esoterica have pondered that one. Does Steiner talk about that?
yes. Yes. And I'm no master in anything with Steiner, but he does talk about it, and he talks about the that life force. I can't remember if it was in the cosmos. He even drew a prototype or like an archetype of it, of more than an archetype, like an actual physical drawing of this entity head. And then I can liken it to some of the things that Hubbard put together in forth in Scientology with regards to his esoteric or the hidden occulted, what are known as the operating thetan levels, the higher levels. But that's all more booby trapped stuff, and I think more than anything to make a buck. Which is the same, that whole thing is definitely low level frequency stuff. If you're out trying to make a buck, and the whole religion stuff of trying to make a buck, that's low level stuff right there. That's just the dense, lower, lower stuff.
Yep.
I'm not saying not
Your
to get
intentions. Yep.
compensated, but that it's
Sure.
totally different. It's not about being compensated for your knowledge or your and yeah. So I won't go on and beat that dead horse.
Yep. Your intentions and motivations are important. And yeah, in this world, we're stuck with having to work with um, market the beast, money, right? But that shouldn't be your intentions and motivations. But in this world, people, yeah, will judge you harshly. Oh, you're charging. Everything should be free. All truth should be free. Yeah, you got to eat too. I mean, how
Well,
can you be my
I'm not
intentions and
saying it should be
motivations are?
free in that
Yeah,
way. There can be compensation. It doesn't have to be
sure.
that you give them a green piece of paper or a digital currency. There can absolutely be exchange, and I feel that there should be exchange. Hopefully you and I giving exchange to each other in this knowledge that this is this moment. I'm not paying you money for your time. No one's paying me my money for my time in this moment. But yeah, so I'm not throw it all away, but I'm saying, like, let's just have some sanity about this, because it is insane right now with, I don't know. I
But
think
a lot
that's
of people
another
don't see
rant.
it yet, right?
What's
I
that?
follow Cliff High on Substack as well. He's into the whole aliens, the space aliens, and the whole money system. He thinks there's going to be a real shakeup this year financially. Well, I don't know. He said that before, and he's wrong sometimes, but he makes his predictions based on data he gets from the computers and the internet. Have you heard of this guy?
No, but there's many, many, many that talk about, of course, all of this. And I think as soon as people are not so stuck with the piece of paper or that currency that controls their energy, and we can start thinking through a little bit of like, okay, if I don't know, I don't have the answer, so probably not the wrong. And no, I don't know him, but I really love Catherine Austin Fitts. I really appreciate what she does with regards to the work and the money piece. She worked for the government in that, and she has a lot of knowledge on Solari report. And so I would go more towards learning what, anything with regards to finances. I go to her. She's an authority in my world. Not her specifically, but the people she interviews, the people in the Solari report, and Catherine Austin Fitts. So I'll put that out there. In terms of the money collapse or whatever, I think good riddance, because
That'll be rough for the whole
it's
world.
well, then people will start to realize what's really valuable. What's the real value? Because our paper has never been valued, never. And if anybody has read Creature from Jekyll Island, or if they've read Tragedy and Hope, come on, Quigley, who was one of the president's mentors, what's his name, Bill Clinton, mentor, spelled it all out of what the whole thing is from all these agendas and all of it. It's right there. Tragedy and Hope, the book, cover to cover, reading it. And then another one is really good is Fruits of Graft. What's his name? Wayne Jett. Amazing to understand this. It's kind of like reading Behold a Pale Horse with William Cooper. Have you ever read that book?
No.
But you understand that concept. William Cooper worked for the government, and once you start to understand this, even what came out a couple of weeks ago with regards to now the files that are coming out, you're like, everything we believe is ludicrous. That Hitler was in Argentina for 20 plus years after that. Okay, that's in that moment we should say, we're not believing anything anymore that gets
Um,
put out.
well, that's
Nothing. We're
where the
done with
system
that. We're
gets
done. Shut
shot.
the TV
Yeah.
off,
Yeah,
right?
I don't watch TV anymore. Exactly.
Or shut the phone off too, because that's even
Yeah.
worse. Because
Yeah.
now you're just getting a bunch of gibberish from a bunch of other, and I don't even know, you know, I'll just have to trust because I'm putting this out there because I do feel that Mark has called on us to, like, I get that you're putting forth Mark's work and then putting it out in your way. And that is one of the things about that number 70s. He's like, look, you people have to be doing your own great work and putting the work out there because we need more that understand this and that are in alignment because the folks that are running this show are really tight. They know they're precise. And we're just complete bunch of cats
As far
running
as
all over the place.
tight and precise goes, there's this guy on YouTube, Logan, Decode Your Reality. Ever heard of this guy?
No.
I did a post on him. I'll put the link there if you want to share that one later. Everything happens for a reason. He's uses numerology, Chaldean numerology, the Bible, the periodic table, makes all these number associations between person, their date of birth, and all this, and he shows so many mathematical precise things about all these connections to their when they're born, date of birth, and what they're doing, and their job, and who they're with, and their dates of birth, and to show our reality scripted. His show every show is to show how scripted everything is, and you don't really have free will like you might think you do.
Yeah.
It'll blow your
Yeah.
mind.
Okay, that I definitely want to look at. I'm going to see if I want to make sure I get this copied. And then I'm going to wrap this up and thank you for your time. Anything else that you want to come and share and we have discussions like this, it's I prefer to be a little bit more structured, but at this point it's like it's free for all right now and we just need to get the information out there. There's like 10 links I see already and multiple things. So I'll follow up with you on email and we'll get all of it down and then put it forward
Sure,
so that people know how
sure.
to follow up. All right, Dennis, thank you so much for your time. Anything else that
Welcome.
I should have asked that I did not?
I don't know. We covered the how and the why. It's there's lots of mysteriousness, and I mean, go within, go without, dig deep, and I've got the time, and like you say, I'm retired. I'm doing this, so people want to check out my stuff and resonate with it and go your own way. I'm trying to do like what I've learned from Heidi McCoskey and Mark Pass, and these people go with what resonates because they've done all the work for so many more years than I have done.
Yeah.
So leverage that. What else
Yep.
can you do, right?
That's right. So appreciate your time, Dennis. Thank you.
Welcome. Appreciate it. It was good.
All right. We'll see you next time.
Yeah. Bye.